Fake SMTP servers.
Fake SMTP servers.
Yeah, for email testing.
Okay.
And this all came from some questions you sent in, all about a YouTube video you're watching about IBM Integration Bus.
IIB.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello everyone. It's been almost 4 years since I last worked on IIB on PC, or I even had IIB on my laptop. But I still get questions such as that you see on screen, where people ask me about how to configure a particular flow, how to test it on IIB. This is because I have uploaded content onto YouTube and questions are from there. So let me attempt to answering some of these questions. First, Hari, for SMTP configurations, you can go to mailtrap website, and over there you'll find the username, password, the other details on the particular mailtrap website. And once you get those credentials such as hostname, port number, etc., you can add them onto IIB's server or your local laptop using mqsSIDB params command. Elsa, to test the flow, which is IIB flow, the flow had a HTTP input connector or a node as its source. So you can test it with web browser or Postman and other similar API testing tools. In this video, I will explain how you can create a mailtrap SMTP server, use curl command to test the connection. We'll also explain about how do you use Killer Coda website, which provides Ubuntu VM, where you can run curl commands and other Ubuntu commands. You don't need this if you're using a personal laptop. You can use your personal laptop and execute the test from there. Okay, you first go to mailtrap website, as you see on screen. You log in there and you sign up to the service, provide the details which are relevant to you. You get this home page which shows you options for testing using a fake SMTP server. Select that. You get your credentials, your host name, port number, username, password on your inbox under the section called as integration. Copy those values. Next, let's test the connection to this hostname and port number using PowerShell command. Here you can see I've executed a test net connection command to sandbox.smtp.mailtrap.io port 2525. And this particular laptop has firewalls in it, which will not allow me to test any ports which is not 443. So the connection fails. And in the second laptop, which is a personal laptop, I'm able to establish a connection to the mailtrap server. You can see the remote address as 54.1.158. If you don't have a personal laptop and you want to test the curl command, in that case, you can go to Killer Coda website, as shown over here, killercoda.com, execute your Ubuntu commands from there. Where will you get the curl command? Where will you get the Ubuntu commands? So that's present in mailtrap code samples page under integration. You can copy the curl command, or you can choose a Python script or Ruby script to test your integration with this mail server, SMTP server.
And specifically, like how to integrate email into an IB project.
Interesting.
But I gotta say, when I first heard about this whole fake email server thing, I was kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It just sounds
Yeah.
more deceptive.
It's a fair reaction,
Yeah,
definitely. But think of it less like fake and more like
Oh,
a safe space for your emails, like a testing lab where
Okay.
you can experiment
okay.
without accidentally,
Right.
sending a bunch of test emails to like real people.
Gotcha. So instead of connecting to like a real live email server where
Yes.
things could go wrong,
Exactly.
you're basically setting up this like dummy destination
Yeah, dummy destination. Yeah.
for your test email.
Exactly. And
Sorry.
that's really important when you're dealing with something as complex as like an IBM integration bus project.
Right.
You mentioned you were watching a video about IAB.
Yeah.
And for those who might not be familiar,
Sure.
it's basically a really powerful tool for connecting all these different applications and systems.
Right. Right.
So when you're building an integration that involves email, you want to make sure
Yeah.
that everything's working perfectly before you, unleash it.
You don't want to be the person who accidentally sends a test email blast to their entire customer database.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
No. And that's where tools like mailtrap come in. It acts as that safe,
Right.
fake SMTP server where you can send your test emails
Gotcha.
and examine them without any real-world consequences.
I see. And I checked out mailtrap myself.
Okay.
And even just the onboarding process is very much geared towards developers. Like they specifically ask about how you plan to use the platform,
That's good.
which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, it definitely shows they understand their target audience.
Yeah.
And speaking of understanding,
Yeah.
let's talk about those credentials.
Okay.
Like hostname, port, username, password.
Yeah.
You'll get all of these when you set up your Mailtrap account.
Yeah.
They're like your
Okay.
personalized keys to access your private email testing sandbox.
And these credentials are super important for actually connecting to the mailtrap server, right?
Absolutely. Think of it like this. The hostname is the address of the server,
Okay.
and the port is like the specific door you need to knock on
To get in.
to get in, exactly. And the username and password are how you prove you belong there.
I see. I'm following.
Okay.
But here's where it gets a little interesting to me, at least in
Okay.
mailtrap documentation.
Yeah.
I noticed they mention using port 2525.
Yeah.
Now, I always thought
Yeah.
the standard port for email
Yeah.
was just 25.
Right.
So what's the deal with that?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it highlights a really important concept in development.
Okay.
While port 25 is the standard for sending email out in the real world,
Okay.
using an alternative port like 2525 is common practice,
Gotcha.
specifically in development environments. Well, next comes the actual connection process.
Okay.
And that's where things can sometimes get a little,
Yeah.
let's just say, not always smooth sailing.
Oh, are you talking about those like failed connection attempts that I mentioned in my notes?
Huh?
Because I have to admit,
Yeah.
even following the instructions, I ran into a few hiccups before I finally got things working.
Yeah.
It was a very dramatic process.
The classic test connection drama, it
Yeah.
happens to the best of us.
Right.
Remember that screenshot from the source material?
Yeah.
Where they're using Windows PowerShell to test the connection.
Yeah.
It shows several failed attempts
Uh-huh.
before that glorious connection successful message pops up.
Yeah, I felt like a surge of relief when I finally saw that message myself.
Sure.
So even experts, I mean, you run into these kind of issues sometimes.
Absolutely. Network configurations can be tricky,
Right.
and firewalls are notorious for blocking things they shouldn't.
Mm.
Sometimes it's a simple configuration tweak.
Okay.
Other times it requires a bit more digging.
So what advice would you give to our listener, or really anyone who might be struggling with this connection process?
Patience and persistence are key.
Okay.
Double check your credentials, make sure you've selected the correct port. Okay, so once you've established a successful connection,
Yeah.
you can actually send that first test email and watch it arrive in your Mailtrap inbox. It's a beautiful sight.
Like seeing a baby bird take its first flight.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
And remember that other screenshot we mentioned earlier?
Uh-huh.
The one that shows the test email successfully delivered to the Mailtrap inbox?
Right.
That's the moment of truth.
Right. And I remember noticing some interesting details in that screenshot, too. It shows the subject line, the sender and recipient information,
Yes.
and even like a little snippet of the HTML content.
Exactly. Mailtrap captures all of those details so you can carefully inspect and verify that your email is being constructed correctly.
Oh, okay.
Like, are the subject line and sender information appearing as expected?
Gotcha.
Is the HTML formatting rendering properly?
So it's not just about seeing that the email arrived, it's about making sure it looks exactly the way you intended it to.
Precisely. It's like having a quality control checkpoint for your emails. before they go out into the real world.
Okay, this is all making a lot of sense now. I feel like we've covered the basic idea behind fake SMTP servers.
Yeah.
Why they're important for testing.
Yeah,
And even like some of the potential challenges you might encounter when you're setting things up.
definitely.
But I have a feeling there's a lot more to uncover here, right?
You're absolutely right. What we've discussed so far is really just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
MailTrap offers a whole suite of features beyond just basic email testing.